So today we're going to talk about the new emerging over 50 consumer. This is the most powerful, most discerning consumer in human history. And what we're talking about today here is not limited to one culture or one country. We're talking about a global consumer. As Kathy mentioned, I am the CEO and the founder of AGEIST. We do publishing. We have a newsletter that comes out every Thursday. You can Google us, AGEIST. You're not going to forget that. And sign up for our newsletter. It's great. It's free. We also do publishing. We do events. We had our first sold-out event in Los Angeles, YBL, in June. But really, mostly what we do is a lot of brand work. And that brand work incorporates, we do white papers. We do a lot of content production. I come out of photography. My partners come out of other forms of content production. We do strategy, we do white papers, and with all this, we do a lot of research. So we actually, before we started publishing, we did a lot of research on this. So we really sit at the nexus of everything that's going on with this consumer today. There's very little out there that's not bubbling up through our social channels that we're not being asked to work on or that we're actually working on around this consumer. These are some of the people we work for. When we started AGEIST, the reason we started it was, I'm 60, and this, yeah, I know. I can show you how to do this. It's not that hard. We just weren't seeing people shown in the media who were living like myself and all my friends were. Now, this is something, I just want you to take this in for a second. We have never profiled anybody at AGEIST under the age of 48. 50% of our readers are under 50. So, if we're demographically targeting, we're failing massively. 20% of our people are under 30. So what's up with that? It's this. So if there's one thing that I leave you with today, it is this. It's what is missing when talking about the consumer our age. This is how all youth marketing works. And somehow it's just dropped into a dead zone when you talk about people like us. And so why do we need to understand people like this? It's because people don't buy brands and products. They buy better versions of themselves. So before we start to communicate with them, we need to understand where they're coming from. So who are these people? Well, I got to say it's really complicated because what happens is, as people age, the demographic splits, right? And youth culture, I don't want to be insulting, but it's kind of a monoculture, right? It's kind of like all one thing. You can talk to anybody 20 years old all around the world, they're going to understand what you're talking about. As people get older, their life experience causes the whole demographic to shatter. It becomes much more tribal. So let's ask Google. So hey, Google, what do old people look like? Whoa, they look like that. Now, that's what Google says, right? So I see that and I say, I don't really feel myself represented up there. Well, maybe I'm asking the wrong question. So, Google, what do people over 50 look like? Yeah, that's it. Nope, same stuff. So, well, that's a problem, right? So, when we started, we needed to find a way to show what it looks like, right? Because you can look at all the stats and all this stuff, and it's really not telling the story. It's like, what does it really look like? So I'm a photographer, right? Okay, so if I work really hard, and I say I do 3 or 4 pictures a day, it's going to take me a couple of years to get a library. That's too long. So I got to go somewhere else. So where can I go to get a good library of pictures? Tinder. So if for all of you who don't know, Tinder is a hookup dating app. I know. I'm married. My wife is here. Love my wife. It wasn't like that. So always swipe left, never right. So I screen shoot all these people, right? And in a month, I have 4,500 of them in my phone, and I become the world's foremost expert on Tinder profiles over 45. Anybody needs help with that? I'm your guy. I know it. Now, the thing about Tinder is, yeah, they're going to lie about their age. Yeah, so what? But they're not going to lie about horseback riding. They're not going to lie about what they do. So this was the creation of our initial database. We are on the verge of a revolution based on demographics alone. There's been a lot of talk about the numbers. I'll just quickly, 15 trillion global consumer spending, people over 50. The vast majority of financial assets people over 50. This is the first time in human history there are more people over the age of 65 than under the age of 5. That's globally. And what's happening also, to compound this, is as the greatest generation moves on, they're handing down their inheritance to these people. And what do you think these people are going to do with it? They're going to spend it, right? So, we need to get over this obsession with millennials. All right. But I'm not about slamming millennials, okay? But like, what exactly is that about? So, we know we need to be digital, right? But how come that got locked to younger people? Like, I see a lot of people here that are, maybe close to my age. You probably know how to use a phone, maybe. So that one's out the window. Let's talk about brand loyalty. Okay, great. So I don't know if you've spoken to a 30-year-old about their brand loyalty. It's 0. So that one's out the window. What else could it be? Herd instinct. Okay, well, Bob's talking to millennials, so I guess I got to talk to millennials. It doesn't make sense, right? But let's talk about consuming ramp. Okay, so if somebody starts buying a product when they're young, and hopefully you can lock them in, well, they got a long ramp, right? Well, I'm 60. I don't intend on dying tomorrow. I've been around a long time. So I've got a pretty significant consuming ramp in front of me. Therefore, we need to get over this. This is something we hear from all of our people. Not done yet. They feel at the peak of their powers. They're moving forward. The word to retire means to pull back. That's not happening here. It's moving forward. And what is that really about? It's that triangle that we saw earlier, Maslow, self-actualization. How do I become the best version of me? And if you want to help your customer, help them become the best version of themselves, whatever that is. What is that? That's about meaning, it's about purpose, you add energy, and you get impact. But, as I mentioned earlier, all people do not age the same. Now, tragically, 60% of the American population over 65 has a chronic medical condition. This is horrific. But then we have somebody like Christy. Christy's 65. She just swam the English Channel. Now, I can't swim the English Channel, but I point this out to just illustrate how divergent the population is. And anytime anybody, if you're looking at a survey and they're telling you, well, people between 50 and 60 or 60 and 70, it is meaningless because it's so fractured. So what are they fractured on? Well, these are kind of the obvious quant stuff, right? Makes sense. But there's something else, right? There's something else that's really powerful here that doesn't often get picked up in this, that we found out early on. And when we do our surveys, we very carefully look for this. It's an outlook. Because now, if a person chooses, a 50-year-old can have a rational belief that they're only halfway through their lives, right? They got a do-over. They got a life 2.0 if they decide to do that. And maybe they're just going to double down on this thing they love to do. Or maybe they're like, yeah, give that up, do something else. Or, conversely, they can say, this is really a pain in the butt. I've just had enough. This is the last long weekend. I'm going to play this out. I'm done. Now, I don't know anything about those people. I don't get it. My people are these other people. And we're in touch with a lot of people like this guy. And, health spans are clearly expanding among this group. And if we just take the two facts, that kind of demographic bubble that's moving over, health spans expanding, that means there are more people consuming for a longer period of time. And, when I talk to people that are much smarter than I am about the science, they're telling me that actual lifespans are on the edge of being expanded. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but just the first two facts make this really important. So, this is some part of our research. 74% of our people are involved in a fitness program. And by program, I mean program, capital P program. So fitness in this group has a very different meaning from somebody who's 25. So if you're 25, why are you working out? Well, you get a good idea. It's probably pick somebody up or something. You want to look good, right? Okay, when you're 60 and you're working out, you don't want to die, right? Different motivation. So this program, capital P, it can be, we talked to people all over the world on this, and it was really remarkable how it was all the same. The program might be just, okay, I do Tai Chi Monday, Wednesday, Friday, boom. but it's a program, right? Or it may be, I lift weights on Monday, I run on Tuesday, I do yoga on Wednesday. It's locked in, and it's, like for instance, when I travel a lot. So the first thing I want to know is, does the hotel have a gym? Okay, show me a picture of the gym, because I want to make sure I can do my program in the gym. Oh, no gym? Where's the nearest gym? Or I'm not going there. Hyatt, awesome job, by the way. Love your gym. Great. 72% highly attuned to what they eat. That means they understand what macros are. They read the stuff. They read the labels on the back of the products they eat. They're making choices, educated in choices. 94% open to new technology. I cannot wait for a self-driving car. I got to tell you. Voice-operated technology, all these things. If you offer these people a better solution that's not too painful to learn, they're going to adopt it. It's, we're not Luddites. These guys, yikes. I'm not going to slam these guys. They do a great job. AARP is the American Association of Retired People. They're similar organizations in the UK, a lot of other countries. But our people have some really negative things to say about them. Like this. I remember, I really don't want to slam them, okay? They do great. My mom loves them. So Anderson Cooper on CNN, it's his birthday. He turns 50, and he's like, oh, I got the death card in the mail. Well, that sounds like a marketing problem. So, but why do people believe this? It's because of this. They feel self-empowered. So if you treat them as victims, as if there's something wrong, this idea of be scared, be very scared, this thing is going to happen to you, that's not going to go over with them. And this self-empowerment, it also comes to things like this. So my mom's 89. So my mom goes to the doctor. Whatever the doctor tells my mom, she's like, yeah, that's the truth, right? That's it. Me, I go to the doctor, I got my phone in one hand, and it's like, yeah, right. Now this is not necessarily a good thing, but it's a fact, because we believe that we're able to process large amounts of complex information and make decisions on our own. And it also speaks to our relationship to authority, which, we come out of the 60s and 70s, so. This is remarkable to me. We did a study. People are more scared of irrelevance than death. Think about that. So if you're in a business or a service, it goes back to that self-actualization thing, like helping people become the best versions of themselves to stay relevant. People don't feel old. So when we started AGEIST, we realized the entire visual vernacular was a disaster. And it just had to be reinvented. And also, the whole lexicon of language needed to be changed because all these words around it are so loaded. And in fact, we actually have a spreadsheet at AGEIST of words that are never to be used. Well, let's think about this old thing. So we asked people, like, all right, so how old do you feel? Okay. So the average delta on that is 20 years. Now, this is a frequently used fact, and it's true. So that means I'm 60. So you ask me, I'm going to say, well, I feel like I'm 40. Maybe. So because it's contextual, right? So my height is not contextual. I'm 6 feet tall today. I was 6 feet tall yesterday. I'm going to be 6 feet tall tomorrow. But how old I feel is going to depend on who's standing next to me. Did I have a hard workout in the morning? Did I get an awesome sleep last night? It's variable. So once again, age targeting. Danger. Don't go there. Knowledge of self is what powers a lot of this. And it really, what we find is people in this group have an appetite for risk, a tolerance for risk, that it was really quite shocking to us. They have a higher risk tolerance than people that are younger than them. I mean, we figured, more than their parents, but actually, they're willing to start new businesses, move to new countries, do all kinds of stuff. This woman, she's 65. I'm a pretty good skier. I went skiing with her last year. She's just about killed me. I'll never do that again. So curiosity is the red thread that goes, when people ask me, who are these ageist people? What's the thing that ties them together? And it's this idea of curiosity. So in the past, as people aged, even if they were curious, they really didn't have access, like their worlds would just kind of shrink. And that's not what's happening with these people, right? Like I have access through my phone to really any bit of information in the world I want. I can access my curiosity. This is Dr. Connie Mariano. She's the former director of White House Medical, first American Filipino rear admiral. Awesome woman. So it's about if you want to stay relevant, you need to stay connected to culture, and that means connected to younger people. And so many of our people have a strategy for that. They might not call it a strategy, but that's what they have. And as I tell people, it is not important that you know what Kanye said this morning. It is important that you know Kanye exists. People have geographical options in a way that people did not in the past. So they're not as tied to place. They're going to go wherever it is that works best for them. Maybe they want to live in Panama. I've heard that people live a very long time in Madrid. Maybe I'll go there. Maybe I'll live in Manhattan. Chiang Mai sounds awesome. It's part of this is that people have this confidence in themselves, right? They feel at the peak of their powers. They're able to make decisions. They feel strong. Moving to another culture is a lot of work. They feel they can handle it. It's, we're all connected. And these platforms tend to churn a little bit, but with these people, it churns less. When we started our research, this was about 5 years ago, I was a photographer, so of course I was on Instagram, but nobody else was on Instagram. And now everybody's on Instagram. The channels are quite fluid, but they're not as fluid as with young people who have, it's a great word, neophilia, the obsession with all things new. Oh my gosh, Trisha. Okay, we have time for a story? Quick story. Okay, so Trisha was an English grandmother. She retired at 64. She thought, what do I got to do? Well, I'm going to make cupcakes, right? So she's really smart. After 6 months of making cupcakes, she's like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. I got to do something. So she starts a beauty business. She wants to sell lipsticks door to door. It expanded considerably beyond that. And so they did a YouTube video of her. She's like, why would an English grandmother, who cares about putting makeup on? Well, this was a couple years ago, 1.7 million. It's a multiple of that now. And she had to learn everything to do with analytics, digital marketing, digital business. She knew nothing, and she learned it and she mastered it. Let's quickly hit some key trends here. Reurbanization is thought of as more of a young person's thing. It's also people my age. So why are they moving to cities? Better transportation, access to culture, better medicine. For instance, I live in a converted factory building in downtown Los Angeles. Probably there are 185 units. I'm going to say 60% of them are people over 50. I got a neighbor that fought in the Battle of the Bulge. What's up with that? There's no indigenous population there. Oh, okay. So I get a lot of pushback on this. This is the fact. More women in this age group are starting businesses. They're starting more successful businesses. They are leading the organizations. They are leading everything. Whatever you're doing, you speak to the women, they bring the men along. just saying. We publish gender neutral. 65% of our readers are women. On some of our social channels, it goes as high as 90. Lifelong learning is something that we got a few years ago. There was a lot of pushback about that. I went to college. Why do I got to keep learning? People are over that. And it has a lot to do with this idea of no longer having a constant career, a constant job. There's a lot of job pivoting. If you want to stay relevant, you got to keep learning. Spirituality. Surprisingly, actually to us, we found that almost everybody has some kind of a spiritual program. Maybe it's meditation every day. Maybe it's something. I heard this great phrase from one of your folks, hybrid spirituality. I love that. People bringing in things from other places to help with their spirituality. And it all comes back to the main thing of just needing to believe in something bigger than us. A lot of new norms. So people living in unconventional relationships, people in their 60s and 70s who have boyfriends, have no intention of getting married, experimenting with cannabis, all sorts of things. This is something, 3 years ago, this was a 0. Now it's front and center. Sustainability, green practices, recycling. Where did this thing come from, and where does this thing go after I'm done with it? So, this is like the me generation, right? What's best for me? And it's all about these options. They're not settling. So, my parents' generation, it was hey, I'm alive. Good day. It's more now. We want more. And as part of that, this is a big one. This idea of personalization and customer service. Hyatt, awesome job. You want to make a friend for life? That's it. Just quickly on social media, Facebook, not so much. We find that almost all of our people are on social media. However, only 34% of them are active on social media. Why? Because they got busy lives. They got stuff they're doing. Quickly here. Lifetime guarantee. People like Patagonia, Burberry. If it breaks, you take it back, they fix it. Love that. Heritage brands are still really strong. Porsche, Levi's, Nike, Converse. People remember the history they have with these brands, but if a brand crosses them, oh, I got to hurry up here. Less cocooning. Okay, we can talk about that. Here. All right. So this is the last thing. Delight people. And the way you delight them is you help them to become a better version of themselves. That's the ticket. Easy as that. Thank you so much.